like something I'm very passionate about is identifying the right customer, the right buyer to go after. I think it's something that a lot of first time, even multi-time, early stage, late stage make mistakes. And, that's one of the things that you talk about in the document is understanding that buyer, understanding the TAM. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. One of the things I really am try to emphasize is kind of segment until it hurts kind of thing. And I'll give you an example of what we had at ServiceChannel, which is an indication. So we went through a couple marketing departments and a couple sales organizations along the way, right? And we had a mantra that our target market was retail, right? And that was it, retail. So in the pipeline process and in the lead generation process, we'd get Walmart. We'd get 2 bakeries on the Upper West Side, right? A guy that owns a bagel shop on 79th Street. We'd get a small restaurant in Belgium, right? Because that's retail kind of thing. We'd get McDonald's, which is largely franchised, right? We get all kinds of stuff. We'd spend a tremendous amount of time vetting it, having sales calls, et cetera, only to find out our close rate was terrible. And we were letting a lot of things in the funnel that didn't really fit what our target market it wasn't really retail. And so we went out and tried to refine it. And we ended up with something, and I'll do this from memory, right? That our target market wasn't retail. It was retail if you retail something related to food or fashion, food or apparel, those 2 things, right? It had to be 100 locations or more in North America only, primarily in the US, because that's where we had coverage. It had to be geographically distributed. We didn't want 100 locations in the same town because it wouldn't adhere to our value proposition. We wanted it multi-state, multi-region, the more national, the better. Had to be geographically widely distributed. That's where our value proposition really kicked in. It had to be company owned. We didn't want franchises because company owned means centralized decision making. We could call on somebody who could make a decision. Franchises, I'm not calling on every guy that owns 3 Subways, right? Or 3, Jimmy John's. I can't do that, right? It had to have centralized facilities management. A great example is Costco. You think Costco would be a great customer. Well, they have different facilities managers at every Costco that operate independently. It's not centrally, so you could never get someone to make a decision there, right? So that falls out. And we wanted to call on people where consistency of brand mattered. So if you think about an Apple store, retail, and the consistency of brand they have, and I'll just make a contrast here, not to be disparaging, Dollar General, right?
Right.
It's a different level of brand awareness kind of thing. And so we had all those filters, and it turns out we did an analysis, and there were 600, I'm getting close, I think 682 companies in the United States that fit that description. 682. Wow. And we knew the names of all 682. So long story to say, my pitch to folks these days, what I'm trying to give advice is, don't fish in an ocean, fish in a pond. And fish in a pond where you know the names of all the fish, right? So segment it down to a level of detail where you can literally name the fish in the pond. Because if I had said, we're going after retail, we're going to get a, 3-location church in the Netherlands, right? Versus what we really wanted, which is a Walmart or a CVS or an Apple store or a Chipotle or a Panda Express, right? Very different.
I love that is literal goal. I mean, segment until it hurts is such a good way to describe I think you just listed, I think it was 10 or 11 attributes that you used to segment. 10 or 11, most people are using 2 or 3. And that is gold. I think if people can hear one thing and take something away from a go-to-market perspective, we have another one that we want to talk about later, but this is such gold, because when you understand, when you're fishing in that pond and you know who every person is, like you said, you can also tailor that, like,
Oh,
all the messaging is going to resonate with all of them. The go to market motion is going to
yeah.
resonate, the pricing, the product, everything,
I'll never forget our head of sales, the guy I didn't hire, who ended up being the greatest head of sales ever. He came in. We went through this exercise with him helping to drive it tremendously. And when we got done, he basically went to his BDRs and his sales organization and said, "Here's the 682 names. Here's 25 for you by name. If you call anybody else on this list, then on this list, I'll kill you. I'll fire you, right? Here's 25 for you. When you get all those 25, I'll give you 25 more, right? Here's your 25." And it made people focus like heck and build relationships at these 20. We didn't get all 25, but everybody we engaged with was right in the sweet spot, right? And the feedback was pure, and we didn't get cluttered chasing things we didn't want to chase, right? It was great. It was great.